This meeting is being recorded. This is the March 22nd, 7 p.m. Hadley Mosquito Opt-out Committee. Welcome, everybody. First order, we need to take attendance. And actually, first order, we probably need to appoint a clerk for this meeting. Anyone raising their hand? Thanks, Shell. Okay, Shell's going to take the minutes for this meeting.
Yeah,
all right.
You have to give me a minute to get my other computer woken up.
Absolutely. You're going to do it. Okay, great.
That's just way easier than switching screens constantly.
Very good. Let us know when you're ready.
Yeah, probably about another 30 seconds.
While we're waiting for the computer to load up, did everyone have an opportunity to try to get into Google Docs? Michelle, did you try? You're on mute, Michelle. You're still on mute, Michelle. Lower left.
I think I tried, but I don't know if I succeeded. I'm in a lot of different groups with different Google Docs.
Okay, how about you, Shell? Did you try to get into Google Docs?
I did not. I was organizing and emceeing a demonstration yesterday, and that took all my energy.
Okay.
And my computer is now ready, so I will write down who's here.
Okay, so for attendance, okay, Michelle Morse Friedman is here. Tony Lynn.
Here.
Here.
Joe here, Bobby here, and Jane here. Okay. Jane, you're on mute.
Here.
All right, very good. We have quorum. Okay, I believe I said the meeting was being recorded, so I'd like to call the meeting to order, and we've got a note taker. Okay, let's. This is for the minutes of March 1st, 2022. I have a minor correction and a clarification, I should say. When we fill out applications, they're for a calendar year only. So we're working on the 2022 application. So in the third paragraph, no, actually, second page, the paragraph beginning with group discuss working off of last year's application. It's so we can get a start against the 2022 application. It's only for calendar year 2022. It would end in December. And yeah,
that makes sense. That was my mistake.
No, it's okay. And then the same paragraph, Bobby will send around and it's the 2021 application because that was again for calendar year. So just for clarification, everybody knows it's a calendar year, not spring to spring.
Oh, okay. Just a very slight correction on my name. My last name is hyphenated, but that's very slight.
Okay. We'll get your name right yet, Michelle, with one L and hyphenated. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Any motion to approve as amended the minutes?
I move to approve.
I second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Abstain because I wasn't there.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Shell. Okay, all right. So moving right along. That was magic, by the way, Tony, the way you were able to take notes and participate at the same time and send it out. That's a very efficient way to do it. Okay, let's move on to old business. Do we have any updates on other town applications that have been found?
I'll update what I know. I was late in contacting people in Amherst, so I haven't heard back, but I did read somewhere that they were, and I can't remember where, that theirs was rejected last year also.
Right.
So I don't know if that's, and I tried to do research about who was approved, and it was not easy to find.
Okay. Sheld, have you had any luck reaching out to any of the, getting any response from towns?
I have not received any responses, and it was so long ago that I sent for them, I can't even tell you who I asked.
Okay, so I guess we'll be working without other town applications at this point. Okay. Okay, second item, updates on other resources and spring outreach activities. Okay. We had talked about being co-sponsoring the April 9th event. I think that's not happening because I said originally I was available, but I'm not. Michelle, you're out of town, right? What's your wishes on that, folks? What do we do with that?
I'm not able to volunteer for that.
Nor I.
Tony, you said you are going to volunteer? I couldn't catch
No,
that.
Tony said no.
Okay,
No.
no.
Okay, so April, go
And the
ahead.
way it's working this year, just so you know, because I have gone to the climate committee meetings, and whether or not a group sponsors it, everybody has to sign up individually. They will check your name when you bring the trash to the dump.
Okay.
So,
There was a great, wait a minute, no, I'm mixing up again. Never mind. Forget I started that sentence. Okay, then we also have the April 23rd meeting, and that is the
Climate Day, Hadley
Climate Day. Right. There was a great article in the paper today. I don't know if any of you saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was excellent.
So I think for that, especially since we might, I don't know when we're meeting next. I can't remember if we set another meeting. We should solidify what materials we want to put on a table.
Mhm,
And I plan to be at the day, but I'm also part of Friends of Lake Warner, who will be putting out materials.
Okay. Michelle, do you know?
I'm going to be giving a talk, so I'll be there because I'm part of the panel or the talk or whatever. But I don't know exactly what hours because of just parenting obligations. So, but I can try to table for some period of time.
Michelle, do you know, or does anyone know what we do to get a table as such? Can we?
We talked to the climate committee. I think that's not hard.
That would be me.
Yeah.
Okay, Jane, how do we get a table?
What size would you like? A card table or an 8-foot table? Are you willing to share, for instance, the 8-foot table with the Mount Warner group, and then we can solve two problems here?
I think that would make a lot of sense, and then staffing issues would be reduced.
Exactly.
And I could
maybe
be,
the other group
I
needs
could
to get in
have
there.
one.
Small or shared?
Yeah, that would be good.
All
I
right.
can be there too, Michelle. I can be there on the 23rd.
Yeah, and by the way, I won't be able to make the in-person next meeting of the planning meeting for the climate day because I will be away. But they may also include make it hybrid. I don't know, and I could participate that way.
Okay,
So-
I'm going to make a motion that we offer to share an 8-foot table with the Friends of Mount Warner,
Lake Warner.
Lake Warner, sorry.
Second, all those in favor?
I
Okay.
Tony, did
approved.
you cast a vote there? Your icon is.
Sorry,
flipped.
I.
Okay, as far as materials, I had shared some resources. It's a little tough when we're doing everything by Zoom here. There were a number of handout resources that were available through Mass Department of Public Health. And I think they're really good materials for handout. Jane, you've seen them. Do you have any comment on that?
Let me get back here. Yes, I do. I think they look really good. They're quite, I want to say professional, but yet not overwhelming with material, with information. At the moment, I'm waiting to hear back from Annie McKenzie. I should go chase her down tomorrow.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, what materials are we referring to here?
Oh,
This is a collection of things Bobby got that have to do with things children and or adults, separate posters, can do in terms of mosquito
And a white.
prevention.
There's one on, there's a nice little handout on, well, I have it in front of me, but there's one little tiny brochure. It folds out accordion and it's on ticks and mosquitoes. There's some posters. It's basically prevention. It's integrated pest management. What it is, it's how to prevent yourself from getting bit and how to get your yard ready so that you don't have a lot of stuff, standing water, etc., repairing screens. It's just real basic, but I think it's a good reminder for a lot of people. And I think the timing's great because I think, this is when the end of April, we start thinking mosquitoes, believe it or not. So
Yeah,
I will get enough material so that we can hand them out. I can order them.
Okay.
Yeah, let me check with Annie McKenzie tomorrow and then I'll get back to you with what she's decided she can use.
Okay, terrific.
I was sort of waiting to combine that with a request for her to put up the Climate Awareness Day posters, but I can do it without the posters in hand.
Well, I have enough time. Jane. They come, I can get them turning around pretty quick. So
All right,
they
well, then
will.
it may be the end of the week. I'm supposed to have the other posters.
I have a question. Do you think it would be useful at the table to have a little signing list for people who would be interested in getting less expensive tire disposal for the town, trying to get a deal? Or would that help support select people who are working on that?
I think it's a great idea. What are we going to do with that list?
Yeah, that's the thing. Well, just to show support, or I don't know, maybe.
well, are there people in town who are managing the collection of tires and using them for silo covers or whatever that we know about?
Yes, we don't know if they're coming to Climate Day though.
They're most likely going to be really busy
Farming,
planting on April 23rd.
yeah. So we don't need to do that, but we could let, actually, I'm not sure I want a petition at all. We do it frequently for Lake Warner because we're looking for people to work on our projects with us. But that's, this is a limited project or limited.
Maybe what we should do is if we can find one person who's doing that, who could be a contact, and just instead of collecting the names and having to deal with them, just say, if this is something that interests you, contact X person, and this is their phone number, and this is their email.
Right, yeah. Good suggestion. Do we want to also see if, well, I guess this is a little premature, but if we do get into a number of educational outreach activities, do we want to see if maybe it's just a very informal, we see if people, if they get really excited about the topic and the subject, and maybe we can pull them in to help us out with some activities if we do them.
Yeah.
Michelle?
I have a question too. Should we consider doing outreach at town meeting? Or at least having materials there?
It's going to be before town meeting. Town meeting's May 5th.
Right, but that's coming, I'm just saying, is that something when we order materials, do we want to order extras?
Okay.
Do we, is that something that?
I didn't realize you moved on from the tires.
Okay, sorry.
I think that's an excellent suggestion. We'll go, can you hold that thought for, well, no, I think that's.
I can hold it till next month.
No, we don't need to hold it. I was thinking that too. Are we allowed to do that at town meeting? Can we set up a table, or how does that work in terms of materials?
And set up a table outside as people come in. You can have a table. It's going to be inside Hopkins, so unlike last year, you don't have to worry about everything blowing away. As you're going down, I assume it will be in the gymnasium, so as you're going down the hall, there are tables on both sides that people can have things at relating to the meeting.
Okay, I think that's a great idea, Michelle.
But I think Michelle's idea of having a sign-up place for people who might be interested in joining this committee at the Climate Day would be useful.
Yes, I would agree.
Mhm. Okay.
I
Okay,
guess I'd want to know more about what we'd be telling them that they're going to do, which I don't know because I'm not really sure what we need to do. So I don't want to like get two volunteers that are excited to like give their energy to the environment and then they're going to sit and like work on a Google Doc with us and there's, you know, too many people in the room or something. So, I mean, in that case, I'd rather them work on Lake Warner. So just to, I mean, maybe let's make that a possibility, but like, as we move forward in this meeting, see what we actually need help with.
if once we develop, if there's some activities, part of our application in terms of education outreach, and we decide that we need help with that, I think we'll have hopefully some sense of that before the climate meeting.
Jane, since we're talking about town meeting, I would put in a plea that there be a virtual option for those of us who don't want to be in a gymnasium full of unmasked people.
They've done that. It won't happen.
Well, it may not have me there.
Well, maybe that's,
Okay. Okay, so we have some plans for April 23rd, Climate Day. We're going to have a table with handouts. Michelle and I will be there. If anyone else can be there for some of the time, that's great. And we also have decided we'll have some literature or similar table at town meeting, outside the town meeting.
Don't forget you have to sign up for Climate Day because they are limiting how many people are coming.
yeah,
Yeah. Now, if we're just doing a volunteer shift at a table for an hour or two, do we have to sign up?
They're counting heads.
Okay,
Now, if there's, I haven't actually looked at the form because I have trouble with computer forms, but if there's any place you can say I'm a volunteer as well as an attendee, they may come out and say, okay, we're going to have 150 people plus people who are working the show or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, so we would need to figure out, I guess, who among us is going to be there for what parts of the day. And at both of these, well, town meeting, people will just come and be there. But there's, we're saying we want to do things and then we're not assigning them to people.
Right.
So we need to figure that out.
do we know if the tables are going to be both in the senior center and the library, or do we know where the table is going to be?
Your table will be in the senior center because that's where I'm working.
And what are the hours of the event?
10 to 4.
10 to 4.
I don't know if you all heard, but Jim McGovern is coming.
Oh,
Oh, that's great. I will volunteer to be there from 10 to 4 at our table, as long as I get to get a restroom and a lunch break or a
So-
snack break.
There will be lunch available there.
Oh,
people who are tabling can also go to the talks. I assume we don't have to table straight through, that we can, take part in the things, and we'll be
As
there
long
for
as your
the,
table is self-explanatory. for
Sorry,
people
yeah.
who come. So lunches will be a variety of soups, vegetarian and non, a variety of sandwiches, vegetarian and non, and a variety of salads.
okay. Okay. Well, I will,
Fantastic.
I'm sorry.
That's it.
I can be at the table from 10 to 4. I don't have to be at sessions. We can figure it out, Michelle,
Yeah.
certainly. And anyone else who wants to be at the table, please join us, and I can leave if, take a break if somebody
And-
wants to come.
and there might be other Friends of Lake Warner volunteers, so we might be able to do some switching out.
Terrific. That sounds like
Yeah,
a
and
good-
once I don't think they've told me yet when I'm supposed to be doing my thing. So when I know that, I'll let you know.
Okay,
But do sign in because we're also having beautiful badges made for everybody who's participating.
great. Okay. Any other resource? Did you get what you needed on that, Shell? I think you were smart to
Yeah,
do
for
it.
that one, yeah, just, do we want to also have people, so really for the town meeting, probably all you would need, if it starts at 7 as it usually does, then somebody would need to be there from like 6:30 to 7:15 staffing the table, and that's really all that's needed.
Mhm. Mhm. What is the date of the town meeting again?
May 5th.
Thursday, May 5th.
May 5th.
Election day is Tuesday, May 17th.
I'm gonna put that on my calendar right now.
Voting is from 9 a.m. until 8 p.m. at the senior center.
9 a.m. until 6, did you say?
8.
8. Okay, May 7th.
Expect everyone in town to show up for this one.
Okay, so polls open.
Hey there, Bobby. Can I put a sign on your lawn
Yes.
for Molly and Randy?
Well, I've already.
I don't think we should talk about that right now.
Yep,
Yeah,
okay,
that-
talk
Okay.
about
Have
that.
that conversation elsewhere.
I
Yeah, don't have that conversation here.
I
Okay,
don't think I can come early on May 5th to be at the table. I teach a class that'll be done around 6:30, but I still have to get to.
I can be
Hopkins.
there. I'll be there. You have to be there by 6:30, you think? And do we have to bring a table? Do you know? I have tables if I need one.
if you have a card table, it's probably useful, but you can check in with Mike Spanknable about, because he does all the setup. If it's
Oh.
possible to have a table for stuff, and then you don't have to schlep yours.
Okay, I will
Okay.
call.
I mean,
And I
we're
do-
in the school, they should have tables.
Right. And I do have tables if it's too much of a bother. I could bring, I have 2 different kinds, a card and a little longer white one.
Okay. So we got that covered. I'll check with Mike. If not, I can bring a card table. Hopefully 6:30. We're all set for town meeting. Excellent.
You also need, just as a politeness, to check with the town moderator that it's okay, you have your stuff there.
Was Randy Iser.
Who's Randy?
He's my neighbor. I will check with Randy. Okay. My to-do list. Okay. All right, moving right along. So we have resources from, we're gonna use all the handouts from DPH. Is there anything else we want to hand out that you have anyone has any ideas for handouts, any other resources?
You could check with the, you said DPH, so maybe that covers it, but the PVMC, what's it called?
Yeah,
PVMC?
yes, those are the materials that they have available is what's
Yeah,
available.
okay,
on
good.
the page.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah,
Great.
okay. Okay, before, I'd like to propose that we discuss item D before we discuss the application, just because we had some things in our minutes that we're gonna follow up on, which I'd like to do before we get into the 2022 application. Are you okay with that, folks? And I'll tell you
Yeah.
what
Yes.
the items were. Let me find the minutes.
Board's
Okay.
upgrade strategic plan.
Couple of follow-up things. Oh, and I don't want to put anyone on the spot. This is just catching up to the things that we thought would be a good idea to do. Jane, did you have a chance to check with the Board of Health to see if they have ever received a bill from the Pioneer Valley Mosquito Control District?
I asked and I have not heard anything back.
Okay, the reason I think we really need to coordinate with Board of Health, because I think much of the information on mosquito control goes through the Board of Health. And I just don't want things to slip through the cracks, not that they're going to. I mean, they gave us their blessing that, go ahead, go forward, we'll support what you do. But I just, one of the things is the application itself for 2022 has not been released yet, but they said they're going to release it to the town. And who does the town mean? Is it the public health? Is it, I haven't been able to get an answer to that. I'm asked if they would send an application to me, and I've got kind of this rote recording. All materials will be sent to the town, kind of thing. So we need to keep on top of who's going to get that application to fill out.
Okay, I will put the word out to the town administrator's office and the Board of Health. that
That'd
when
be
they get
great.
it, You need to see it.
Okay. Alrighty,
My to-do list now.
okay. Let's see,
So last meeting, we talked about getting on the schedule for these, and I think we're hoping we were a little farther along, but are we still okay with that? Was that in April?
You are on the April 6th Select Board meeting, and if you would like to postpone it 2 weeks, everyone would be thrilled because that agenda's gotten really huge.
Wait, I need a minute to catch up on the notes here.
okay, go ahead, Shel.
So we were talking about the thing that you were not sure who was going to receive it. That was the procedures for submission of this year's plan.
Correct,
Okay,
yes,
so Jane will notify both the Health and, okay, Board of Health, and what was the other?
Town administrator.
Okay.
Jane, I have a question in terms of contacting. Go ahead, Tony.
Well, I was going to propose that we delay our standing in front of the select board until the March 20th, April 20th meeting, or whatever that next meeting is.
Yes, April 20.
Is that a motion?
Yeah, make it a motion. Let's make it a motion. I motion.
A second.
All those in favor? Michelle?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Tony, aye. Shell, aye. Bobby,
Yep.
aye. Okay, so moved. We are going to April 20th. That's terrific. I think we'll-
Okay, and then what about Board of Health? We were gonna meet with them too, right? Was that on the calendar yet?
Am I supposed to put that on the calendar? They're meeting in 2 weeks. Are you ready for that?
I just wanted to make sure we weren't already on their calendar, because I know we talked about it.
No.
Okay. That one feels more okay to me in 2 weeks, because even if we're like really early with the application, I don't think we have to be totally ready for the Board of Health, but I don't know. I'm curious what everyone else thinks.
Right, I'll find out when they would like to see you.
And I apologize, but I realized I didn't write down who seconded my motion about sharing the table with Lake Warner.
I'll second it,
I'll-
as long as I didn't make the
Yeah.
motion.
Okay, so Bobby seconded. Okay.
Okay. If we met with, if we meet with the Department of, the Public Health in 2 weeks, if that's a good day for them, what date is that? Does anyone have a date?
They usually meet on Fridays afternoons.
So their next
So
meeting,
let me get that to you and then you can email it around.
okay,
So what's the date?
All right.
we don't have a date yet, Shell. Jane's gonna send it to me and we'll get it out. I think that's important. I think it's a good idea to meet with them before the select board, because I think seems so much of our effort is going to be public education, and I think that's a Board of Health kind of activity too, prevention. And they may have some really good suggestions of how to beef up what we're doing. So I think it'll be good to meet with them before we meet with the select board.
Jane,
Yes,
when do they tend to meet? What time? Is it a regular
O'clock.
time? What? 12 o'clock?
2,
2.
1400.
Okay, and so 2 weeks from this Friday would be.
And point out, oh, sorry. So the select board meeting is probably going to be at 6, I imagine.
So you think
It's
it'll
always at
probably-
6, but they can give you a time if you don't want to, if you can't make it early.
So Jane, it's the likely date is the 8th of April at 2 p.m. for the Board of Health?
We didn't have it last week, so maybe April 1st. I don't know. When they said 2 weeks, I don't know if that was yesterday or today.
I don't have to be there, but I can't make it on the 1st. I'm going to be gone all of next week.
Okay,
I can't make it on the 1st either at that time.
well, if
Um,
that's when it is, I'll put you on a different one.
And
Okay.
yeah, I can't make it
Great.
either that time on the 1st.
Okay,
Right, we don't want to come on the first. That's the way it is.
okay. So you'll figure out a good date with them.
I'll work
Thank you
on
very
that
much.
for you.
Okay. And Jane, there was one more item on here. I'm sorry, you're doing so much for us. We really appreciate it. There was one more item on the agenda, I mean, on the minutes, and I just wondered if we talked, there's a mention here, we also note that the DPW activities about cleaning and the drainage ditches, say that fast. I just wondered if you had a chance to look at that. If not, we have time to do that. You were going to talk to, get information from the DPW.
Yes, and because the DPW is up to their eyeballs in the problem on Knightley Road, which is finally resolving, I will now have time to talk to Scott.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. All right. Okay, moving right along. Okay, so we've got some dates figured out. And get back to my agenda.
So
Go
is
ahead.
Jane going to take responsibility for making sure the Board of Health can meet with us on the 8th?
I will see when the Board of Health is meeting and then let you know, and you can decide if you're available.
Okay. You got that, Shell? We don't know a date yet.
I know, but the question is, since people can't come on the 1st, if they're saying we meet on the 1st, are we asking them for a special meeting or asking them for to be on the next one after that?
Let me see how they feel
Seems like
about it.
we should meet with them on the 8th or the 15th, whichever of those they're meeting.
Eighth would
Okay, so-
probably be preferable for most people, just because 15th is a holiday in two religions, but we'll see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Okay. So Jane, check on the 8th, see if that works. If not, we'll see if we can do it after that.
Okay,
When the next available date would be for them.
all right.
Okay, discussion of the 2022 application. Okay, I know we keep waiting for the application. I think we're still kind of under the assumption that it may look similar to last year. And is that a good assumption? Can we work off of that premise, folks, or?
Yeah, I mean, that was my idea of setting up that Google document so that we could start filling it out, because we figured that that would look something like that. And I felt like breaking it down like that is nice, because so please
Yes.
do, Michelle and Shell, look into that document. And if you can't access Google Docs, then we'll make you a Word doc version. It's a little hard with versioning then and kind of going back and forth.
Tony, can you
just to
send
say
out?
that,
Oh, sorry.
go ahead, and then I'll finish my thought.
Can you send out a dedicated email to the committee with subject line access to Google Docs, giving us the links and any passwords we need? Because I think I looked through a bunch of old emails, but it was maybe buried in one of those.
I have a suggestion, because sharing documents is, I mean, we've had a lot of difficulty with communication on documents. I have a suggestion to how to get started tonight, and I also have another suggestion. Let me start with my second suggestion first. That makes sense. When we get the actual application, would you be all willing to have an in-person meeting that would be a work session, so we can just hammer it out? Because we've been talking about this application back and forth now for several meetings, and I know it's really hard this without definite, but it'd be much more efficient for me, and I don't know how the rest of you, it's just maybe my method of communication, to sit down in a room together and hash it out. Any thoughts on that?
I think that might make some sense.
I'd be
I'll
willing.
say in theory, yes. I just can't promise the availability. Like I have to figure out if it's, you know, what my son's up to and where I need to be for him. So,
Sure.
but if I'm the remote person listening in and working on something, I'm fine either way. Just, yeah.
Well, you might be able to be the note taker.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
All right.
I could do some serious work on Google Docs. I think if you all just wanted to talk, I could make this happen. I did want to just finish my thought really quick, which is I want to go back to the idea that we're not getting the applications from other towns. I am not ready to move on past that. I don't think, like, it sounds like, Shelley, you haven't emailed anyone in months, which is fine. It's not like accusing, but I don't think we've like exhausted our outreach to other towns.
Yeah, I think
and
I
I really
actually
think
did most of it by phone, and I spoke to a couple of human beings who said they would send me stuff and didn't, and I spoke to several answering machines that did not promise anything.
Well, thank you for making all those calls.
Yeah,
I just think
don't
that
think
is
I
going to
would-
be so much easier because when I look at the application, I just think don't really know. And so also, Bobby, maybe reaching back out again, maybe you did this already since our last meeting. I think there are a lot of to-dos in the notes, but to the PVMCD guy to say like, okay, share stuff with us. Who are the towns that passed? Like, somebody's got these answers, and I know they're not emailing us back, but if we can just email them like every day or call them every day, because it's just going to save us so much time if we're looking, and potentially success, if we're looking at what someone else did, than rather just me trying.
I agree.
Like all of the we're talking about all this tabling. I don't even know what we're tabling for. Like, I don't even know if that's necessary for the application, you know? Like, it sounds nice, a nice thing to do for the town, but like, I think we should like look at the Google Doc or the application or whatever and like, what do we actually need to be doing? Shell and I actually talked earlier today about like, I'll speak for myself. Like, I thought this was going to be a pretty light assignment, this committee, and I don't want to make it harder or heavier than it is. Like, I don't want to overachieve this. We're all too busy to be overachievers right now. So, like, I'm willing to do 100% of what we need to get done, but I don't want to do 150%. And because we haven't, like, we don't know what we need to do. And one of the reasons is we don't have the new application. But also, we haven't really looked very hard at that old application since, like, I don't know, our first meeting. And then we haven't seen anyone else's application.
Yep.
I will resend, I've sent it twice. I will resend the list of towns that got approved, all that applied and got approved. I'll send that to you tonight, everyone. I think the most important one, Shell, if you could even go to the Board of Health, what's her name, O'Leary? They got approved. She's on the
in
Pioneer Valley
Northampton?
Mosquito Control District. She's a commissioner. And
Northampton,
if you could respond more, is it Maureen O'Leary or
Meredith O'Leary?
Meredith, that she's your contact. She is on the Pioneer Valley Mosquito Control District. Northampton got approved. You could follow up with her. I did go into Google Docs and I will tell you what I have proposed in Google Docs, and we can talk through it and see if some of it makes sense. I think we can start it tonight if you're willing to do that, folks.
That sounds good. I was also going to propose that when we meet in person to hash it out at some point, we can, those of us who can be in person can bring devices, use the Wi-Fi at the senior center, which I assume there is some, and have the documents like in front of each person, you know, rather than all doing chicken scratch erasures and rewrites we can maybe do the Google Docs in real time, but get to talk too at the same time.
Okay.
I think that all sounds super. And yeah, Bobby, I'd love to talk through what you've got on there.
Okay. So what I have, I'm taking it from the top, and I don't know if you have a copy of the application, the hard copy that I've sent several times, and I'm willing to send it again. I sent it out again. I'll talk through what we've got. Okay. So the first question we need to answer, and this is a really interesting question. If your municipality is currently a member of the Mosquito Control District project, please enter the project district name. We got that. Who is the point of contact in the town for this? Who was the point of contact for this? I don't know.
Probably the town administrator, but I don't know. Since the whole thing is vague.
Well,
Yeah.
that's why I
You
know
know what
they're.
I'm gonna do? I'm gonna write to David Nixon and see what he remembers.
Okay,
I'm putting that on my note.
okay. But I guess that's a good point, Tony. That's why another application would be helpful. We can see who their contact person is. And the second question on that is, and we, okay, we did get a copy of the certified vote. Thank you, Jane. We have the notarized copy and we have a electronic copy. Hopefully, when we send it in electronically, they're going to accept the electronic copy, but we have that. So we can check off those two things.
Thanks, Jane.
What was that?
Tony, that was unintelligible.
Sorry, I just said thanks, Jane.
Okay, so so we have the certified vote. Okay. Okay, question is mosquito habitat. Has any mosquito habitat been identified in your potential mosquito habitat been identified? The answer is yes. And then if so, how? That's a Pioneer Valley Mosquito Control District question. Is that right?
That sure sounds like it's me. And you know the answer is yes because of what he said when he met with us?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we need to get more information on how was it. I don't know how they identified where they're doing the surveillance from. Do you remember that, anybody? He talked about, remember they're collecting samples? Does anyone remember?
That might be in the minutes from that meeting.
Okay.
Even it was mentioned, I bet it's in the minutes, but also you're gonna email him again, maybe you said that. Are you gonna email him again? Sorry. If you do, you could ask him a couple of these questions while you're at it.
Okay, I can
Or
email him
just say we wanna
anytime.
meet with him again.
Oh, okay, we do want to meet with him. Okay,
No, I was, sorry, no, I just said, or you could suggest we meet with him again.
Okay.
It might make sense. We get like far enough on this application before the new thing comes out and he's swamped or whatever, maybe meeting with him could make sense.
Do you meet with him before we complete the other application is what you're thinking, or?
I don't know. I mean, I think like you, I'm thinking we might end up with like a week or something to
Right.
get it done. So maybe while we have this lull, we meet with him. If we feel like we're a little farther on this version of it.
Okay. Okay, and then it says mosquito habitat, mapping of wetlands, and this is where I said I need to check with Chris. And also, this is another question for the DPW, Jane, if mapping of catch basins. It's also, I'm assuming that the DPW, they were doing some ditch. Is a ditch the same thing as a catch basin or not? I don't know. I don't know my lingo.
No, it's not.
What is a catch basin?
It's a built structure. It's
Oh.
part of, it's constructed. A ditch may or may not be natural, I think. But like a catch basin is, I think, made out of concrete and metal, and it follows a certain blueprint. I am no expert on this, so anybody who knows more, do not hesitate to
Yep.
tell me that I'm full of crap.
Jane, you're speaking, but we can't hear you.
That's because my microphone's off to keep the cat noise away. A catch basin is the kind of thing they put, for instance, at the malls where they have they make little lakes so that when it rains, everything drains into it and then slowly absorbs into the ground.
They want a map of every catch basin in Hadley. Am I hearing that?
Do you have that, Tony Lynn?
Well, I mean, if anybody does, I can get it. I'll
That
just
would
talk
be
to the
great.
Conservation Commission agent, but I'm just wondering, could you read the wording again, Bobby? That's what they want?
Okay, the question is, has to do with how identifying potential mosquito habitat. It says, please indicate all that apply. Mapping of wetlands and mapping of catch basins. In other words, how have they identified mosquito habitat? Have they
Okay, well,
mapped the catch basins?
Oh, okay, so this is right. So this might be a PBMCD question again, because we're saying, hey, you said there's potential mosquito habitat here.
Okay.
How did you decide that? And so we might not have to be producing these maps because they're supposedly already produced, because this is why we said yes.
Okay.
I mean, I can get a wetlands map for Hadley, and I can get a catch basin map if it exists. I'm trying to think about whether it does exist,
Well,
but yeah, I think maybe first we have PBMCD.
Yeah, it seems like Public Works should have some of this stuff.
Yeah,
Public Works has the drainage ditch system.
the catch basins were part of proposals by various builders when they went before the planning board and for various approvals before the Conservation Commission. So there might be, Pyramid or whoever owns the malls now might have maps if we can't find them elsewhere.
Okay.
Right,
So
but we can't look at like individual project documents for the whole
Right.
town from the last 50 years.
Yeah, no, it's a lot. It's a lot. I mean, hopefully there's somebody who's mapped it.
well,
Yeah,
let
so
me,
instead of asking the town, let's ask the people that maybe already have them, and if they don't, then maybe the answer to this question is no, and we don't have to drag the maps down, kind of thing.
okay, I will check with Chris if he knows. Okay, and then
Who's
past
going to check with
surveillance,
DPW?
Oh, Chris
I
is
will do
not
that.
there anymore.
I will do it on my DPW.
Different
list.
Chris, hold on, everybody. We don't need to do that yet, because we might not need to get them from the town. So first, Bobby, Chris
gonna
is
give
that
him a call.
PVMCD person?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Chris
And
is,
so
a-
let's see first what the PVMCD person says about it before we ask people for information we don't need.
Okay, if there is a need to ask the planning board, I have good relationships with several of those people, so but we will wait to hear from PVMCD apparently before we do any of this.
okay, next, sounds good. That's on my to-do list, Chris. Past surveillance has been done by DPH, mosquito, I put the PVMCD. That's what I put down as the answer to that question. I don't think the town has done any surveillance. I don't think we've contracted to do any surveillance. Let's just keep it simple and put the Pioneer Valley, because we know they've done it, okay?
Agreed.
Okay. Okay, the next section is called mosquito testing and arbovirus. Okay, now I took the answers to this from the deck that Chris gave us. The question is, indicate below which arboviruses have been found in your area during the past 5 years.
Hold on, I missed one thing that I need for the notes. Okay, what was the section that we were just discussing?
We're discussing the section says mosquito testing and ARBO virus.
No,
one
but
word.
before that, the one we just finished,
Mosquito habitat.
habitat, okay.
Okay. Okay, so the question is, we're supposed to put down how many cases of EEE and the dates. So I found from that slide deck that Chris gave us that there were 2 Hampshire, we don't have it by town, we have 2 Hampshire County cases, moderate risk for September and October 2019.
That's awesome you pulled from that slide deck. I think when we ask Chris, maybe we say, is this right here or should it be 0? Because those weren't in our town. They were in the county,
Yeah, we need to find out which towns. And West Nile, okay, let me make a note on this. And on the West Nile, it was also two Hampshire County human cases plus 10% of all collected samples in the same time frame. Not, I think I gotta check the time frame. Okay, now we
Okay,
get to the
2
fun
cases
stuff.
of equine EEV and 2 cases of West Nile. What was the third thing?
You know, if you want, Shall I have this all written down in the docs, the Google Docs? I can just send you a copy and then you don't have to worry about all these details if you want.
Yeah, it's just for the notes. It's not that I personally care.
No, I mean, for the notes, but I'm sorry. So it was West Nile virus. It was 2 Hampshire County human cases. Plus 10% of all collected samples.
Okay,
And I believe it's the same time frame. I have to check the time frame. September and October 2019. Okay, you ready, Shell?
yep,
Okay, so this is education, outreach, and public relations. Okay, the question is provide a 1 to 2 paragraph narrative of the proposed outreach plan. I think we can do that after we go into some details, and then we can summarize it in the 1 to 2 paragraphs. That's my suggestion. Does that make sense?
Sounds great to me.
Okay. Okay, so we're supposed to check off all education outreach methods that you intend to employ. And this goes to your question, I think, Tony, about why are we doing all these things if it's the application? I think we're starting the outreach education by tabling. Okay, first one is development and distribution of brochures and handouts. I checked yes, because we're doing that. We're not doing door-to-door canvassing, door hangers, speaking to property owners. I don't think we're doing that, are we?
I think we could argue we're speaking to property owners at like the climate event. We're not going door to door, but we're going to be tabling. So I think that counts.
Well, it said door-to-door canvassing. In parentheses, it was specific. Are you doing, so
Okay.
we're not doing door-to-door. Okay. Social media accounts, Facebook, Twitter, and other social media. I don't do that stuff. I don't know if anyone else wants to get involved in that stuff for our committee. Social media.
I mean, if we had much to say, I'm not on social media, but this is the kind of thing, if we were looking for volunteers, you know, we could say, hey, do you want to help us out with that? But I think we'd have to then spend some energy figuring out what we're going to say, right?
Right.
And like make sure we have things to share.
Right.
If we really felt like it's important to check more boxes, I guess we could put together like a couple tweets. Does the town have a Twitter? I know it has Facebook, right? We could put together, I guess, something that has a link and a picture. I've never actually used Facebook before. I'm gonna start talking.
If we ever get like a tire disposal at a good rate, then we could share it on the various Hadley Facebook sites. That would be a good thing to do.
I guess the fact that, and I will admit I haven't got everything up to date, is our town website considered social media? Guess not, it's just a website, right?
that's not social media.
Not, okay. I don't think we have to check the box on that for now. Well, we can think about it, but okay. Okay, this next one was mailings, describe target audiences. So I have a question, Jane, if you know this. Is there any way that, this may be more than we want to do, when they send out town bills or sewer bills or sewer and tax bills, do they ever allow an insert? Do you know?
Jane, you're
on mute,
muted.
Jane, you're on mute.
Sorry, I'm trying to keep down my background noise. I know the town clerk has refused to include anything. I don't know about the collector. I can check with her.
Because
They send out something every month, pretty much.
right. I'm thinking town water and sewer, mosquitoes. I mean, it kind of seems like it would make an interesting,
I will check.
okay. Because that'd be kind of cool. We could even maybe put one of
So
these.
what do you want to send out? A
Well,
questionnaire?
No, I'm just thinking information. It's mosquito season, some of this prevention stuff. I don't know, we can maybe put one of those, of course, it might change the postage. Some of the handouts that we're doing, there's small enough, that little accordion thing might fit easily, and I can stuff envelopes. I mean,
The annual water report, is that a trifold still? And I forget when it comes out.
A
that's a
what?
good,
The annual water report. We get an annual water quality report mailed out to each home.
Don't put it in that.
Okay.
It comes out of a different office out of town.
Okay.
Well, we can see if there's a potential, but I don't believe we do any kind of additional mailing. I mean, we don't have the budget. So the
This
answer to that
committee
is
certainly doesn't have the budget. That's expensive. We either piggyback or we don't do it.
right.
But there may be, I wonder if the town has an email directory
Has a what?
of residents. Jane's saying no.
Mm-mm.
No, they don't. They do have the Nexel, they can send out notices, like it's mosquito season, be careful.
Is that the robot calls? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Senior Center uses those a lot. I would love to get off the list for getting calls about the van service, which I'm not using ever.
But then you'll miss all the other calls.
Yeah, it would be nice if Haley would segment.
So is that Nexel just the senior center?
No, Nexel is town.
Now you'll also get, like, if you have kids in the schools, you'll get calls about snow closings. Or at least we did when my kids were school age, which is a long time ago.
Nexel is a town alert system. So if the road is closed because of an accident, or the water main breaks, or the power will be out, or whatever, then
How
they
do you
can
spell it,
send out.
Jane?
Is that an avenue we want to pursue when it gets to be like mosquito control season?
Probably not,
Okay,
because people will say it's a bother.
okay. Yeah.
How do you spell it?
Nexil.
IL, okay.
Okay.
Just to come back to the mailers, I mean, can we get 2,000 things to stick in envelopes or whatever? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you probably, like you said, we don't have a budget. Can we get that many from the, Mass Public Health? Because if not, then maybe it's not worth, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a lot to give one to everyone in the town. Maybe it's not 2,000, maybe it's 800 or whatever, but I don't know how many homes there are.
We can, that's a good question. I think we can get multiples. I'm pretty sure we can. I'll check on that. That's a good question.
Yeah.
How many can we get?
The other thing, I thought some town committees had access to some funds. I don't know if it's for mailings or for just, support for the committee, either clerical or whatever.
Yeah.
Jane, can you answer that?
Good luck getting money from the town this year.
Okay.
I would think, and also on general principle, I don't think we want to be mailing to every household, because the reality is there's going to be maybe 5% of people in town who are actually going to be interested. It's a tremendous waste of paper and postage.
What if at the tabling events, you offered to give these out to people to give to their neighbors?
That's
or
a much better
friends?
strategy, I would say.
So then you have the personal touch. It's not just a total bombardment.
Okay.
And then if that actually happens, you can put a check on door-to-door canvassing, just not by us directly.
Yeah, because I think the people who will be at the climate day will definitely be interested in the mosquito issue as well as everything else. So you probably have ready volunteers, if you will.
Okay. So we're nixing the idea of putting something in the mailing, right? Even if we're piggybacking, we're nixing that, right? We're not going to.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Okay, next.
Don't ask the question. Don't ask the question.
Okay. Check. Yeah, you've accomplished something, Jane. One less thing
I
to
did. I
do.
crossed something off my list.
Okay, so the next question is media outreach, interviews for print or online media sources, press releases, etc. Hadley Media. What's the opportunity with Hadley Media that we could get something on that?
We can set up for them to do an interview of you and play it whenever you want.
Okay. Do they do announcements though? I mean, could they say it's mosquito season?
You
Do
could
X, Y-
you could make a poster or flyer or just a written computer sheet saying what you want, and they will show it between their other showings when they show other people's
Okay.
general information.
Okay. And this, I know this is a stretch, but what about something like WWLP? They do like local stories, like something that's come up?
They gave us
Brian
very,
Lapis?
but they gave us great coverage on the immigration justice rally yesterday. They
Yeah.
had about a 4-minute segment, which is a long time for a local news station to cover something. But we did a lot of media outreach, and we got very good publicity in 2 outlets and a little bit of publicity in the Greenfield Recorder, and basically ignored by everybody else, as far as I know. So this is the thing with what if we have something that's actually newsworthy, such as farmers, here's your chance to recycle those old tires and save money doing it and cut down on the mosquitoes. That would be somewhat sexy to, for example, Scott Merzbach, who is the Gazette reporter assigned to Hadley, and who's been on that beat since about Noah's flood.
I agree with Shell. Another thing that might interest them is if our MOOC met with another MOOC, from other towns and talked about, something about the effort, regionally or in the area. But it's best to have a story in it, and that's not just our putting out our materials.
Maybe we could even get Chris to do
Yeah.
something. Because
Right. So that's interesting. And I'm also thinking Monty on the river would go for this, I bet. I mean, I think it's a good story. The way I tell it to people is like, I just told a couple of Hadleyites yesterday, and they were like shocked. How we wanted to tell the state that we don't want aerial spraying, and the state was like, no, you can't opt out. And so you go through this really complicated, mysterious, opaque application process, which you'll have 2 weeks to do, and then maybe you will fail, And so it's a pretty good story that most, if you get the right side of it, people will be like, I don't want to be aerial sprayed. And here's a bunch of citizens trying to get together so that we don't get aerial sprayed.
The David and Goliath thing works well in local media. Conquering the big bad state government, or conquering is not the right word, but resisting. That's always a good story angle for them. We use that a lot in some of the work that I've done in this area. We have some press contacts that would be useful and some that probably wouldn't, because the beats are different. But around here, a lot of the papers assign geographically. So if you have a Hadley story, you go to Merzbach. And you would go to, I don't think the Republican covers Hadley more than just very desolatorily. It's hard to say that.
They used to cover Hadley, but that report.
Yeah, Diane Letterman was the Hadley beat reporter for a long time, but doesn't seem to be on the scene anymore.
She retired.
Well, is that, I don't, this is all good discussion. I don't know that we want to make our story about us and about the state. I think the story is more about preventing mosquito bites so we don't have to spray.
Can I propose something? If we move ahead to the next thing and we go to presentations, in person or virtual or school-based programming, the story could be there and some of those things.
Yeah, there's lots and lots of story angles. It's a matter of figuring out what we can tell in a consistent way.
Right.
Who's going to tell it? And, it's always hit or miss. You can send out 100 press releases and 1 or 2 of them might get picked up. I would hope that our odds would be better, but there's a lot of thinking about how to tell the story and what narrative you want and what the message is and who are the people to present that message. And it's a black art. I was going to say it's a science, but it's really not a science. It's a black art.
It sounds
and it's a good point, Bobby. I didn't mean to say that was the end of it. Then we would say, so if you don't want aerial spraying, then we're doing all these things, here's the things you can do. So they don't become a problem or something. But you're right. You got to be careful.
and it'd have to be a slow news day, maybe for my for my direction. I think it's so fascinating. At the beginning of the winter, they talk about how to shovel snow without hurting yourself. every year, so I'm kind of thinking this is real soft. This is how you protect yourself from mosquitoes.
I'll have to say this paper is on the Gazette has a very small staff at the moment. They are always happy for content that somebody has to large, extent provided for them. But I vote we move on to the other things because I think some of the other items could potentially be stories. And
Yeah.
Okay.
I just
So
want to
let-
put one thing out before we leave that, and that's that if we do have a story, Joe Comerford can be an ally here, and she has excellent press connections and a staff, and would probably be glad to send something out on our behalf.
Right.
And I'll put out one more thing. Andy, my husband, likes to make videos, and Andy and I have been talking with the climate committee about doing a couple videos, for on environmental things. So that's always a possibility too, in addition to TV5 interviews.
Okay. Okay, well, it looks like there's some good energy around media. Let's put that aside for now, if you will, and we'll keep that one simmering. We're not going to let that one go, but okay. Okay, presentations in person or virtual. I'm not sure what we have for a presentation. Or if we again try to get Chris to help us with that. I'm thinking we could do something potentially at the senior center, something at the library for a program. But we need to have a presentation. Is that something we think we would pursue or not?
I would say yes.
Any other thoughts?
Yes, but it might not happen before the application is due. We'll just
No, this is all for the application.
right. I know, but I'm just saying, we might not get it together to do before the application is due, but we could shoot for it.
Okay.
We don't even know when the application is due yet.
No, but
Yeah.
we don't have to get all these things ready before we submit the application. This is things we will do in 2022.
Oh, okay.
This is all for 2022.
Presentations would be great.
Okay.
Yeah, school kids would be a great audience because they'll go tell their parents. Jane's group of seniors, I'm sure, will tell their children and grandchildren. I don't know if there are any farmer groups in town. There probably are. And there used to be some Hadley Small Business Association that, this is going way back when I first moved to town. I went to like one or two meetings, and I don't know if they took me off the list or if they stopped meeting, but I haven't heard from them in a long time. But families like the Sabascos were involved with that.
There is an agricultural commission. There's a group in town. I have to say, you have to be aware that not everybody will agree with the opt-out.
Right.
Mhm. Okay. School-based
Now,
programs.
we had, there was also, we had done some outreach. I don't know whatever happened to Michael on this committee, but early on, he and I had brainstormed a list of organic farmers that we could get to show up at the public hearing that we ended up not needing to have.
And okay. Was there a to-do on that? I mean, is there a suggestion of what we should do with that, Shell, or?
Well, not until we need to get supportive statements or until we have a meeting with some farm group, and then we want those people to be in the room.
Okay. Okay, the next thing is tabling at events. We've already covered that. We are going to be doing that. We will be doing that. It says a website URL. I've got to update it. We do have, it hasn't gone live yet because I haven't got it all. I'm still playing with it. We do have a link we will have a link on the town website. I've got some of the stuff up there, but I need to update it. So yes, we will have a website. It'll be the town of Hadley.
We'll have a page on it.
Yeah, there's behind the scenes is a page. I'm working on developing it. So there will be a page. Okay. Other things. We talked about postering in schools, et cetera, and Jane's working on that. I don't know, it's probably going to be thrown away. We could always distribute stuff at the dump. Saturday mornings at the dump is an amazing place. You see so many people. But that's just a thought,
And there are some public bulletin boards in town. Whole Foods has one, I know.
What did you say they have? I didn't hear what you said.
Bulletin
Oh,
board.
bulletin boards. Good idea.
Who else has one? Barstow's has one.
Who?
Barstow's Dairy Store and Bakery across the
Barstow's.
street from me.
Okay.
Stop and
Anybody
Shop
know-
has one, but it's hard to get to.
Who does?
Yeah.
Stop and Shop.
Stop and Shop.
Yeah.
Okay, so we had Whole Foods, Barstow's, Stop and Shop. What other bulletin boards do we know in town?
I can't remember, well, I can't remember if I once posted something at Primo's in Hadley, I'm not sure. And you could at Sugar Shack potentially,
Huh.
you could poster at.
Okay.
Does Cook Farm have one? I don't think so anymore because they're not letting anybody inside.
Mm.
Oh, you know what? They may be letting people inside now because I saw a lot of cars and nobody outside when I drove by there the other day.
Okay.
I'm just trying to think of what other bulletin boards there must be. In there. I don't know if Home Depot or Lowe's. I don't think they have public bulletin boards. And
I think
also,
so.
they're not really, the problem also with Whole Foods, same thing, is that most of their clientele is not Hadley people.
We can, let's think about that. We don't have to give the exhaustive list,
We-
but put that, go ahead, Michelle.
We could possibly leaflet our materials at the Hadley Garden Center and at Wanzik's.
Mm.
We're asked to leaflet there.
Hadley Garden Center is now called
Well, Gardner Supply, but they
Yes.
also
Good idea.
go by both because
Okay.
people like me can't remember the new name.
Somebody help me with the spelling of Wanzik?
WANCZYK.
Thank you.
Also, if you're leaving things, you could do it at the library and senior center.
Ah,
Great. Okay, all kinds of opportunities here. See, this isn't so hard. Okay, the next question is select the audience types you tend to target from the list below, and it's just a checkbox. Residents, yes. Landlords, maybe do senior housing.
There's
Okay.
bulletin board, there are bulletin boards at Golden Court at least.
Oh, okay, good.
Vesta doesn't have a community book. They have a community room, but I don't think they have a bulletin board in it.
Okay,
and then what about the one on the east end of town? One side of it is called Green Leaves, and I forgot the other side. is
Vesta.
called
Vesta.
Where
Vesta.
the
I
water leak was. Yeah,
think that's a new name.
you know who can help with that is Kathy Nelson lives there.
Uh-huh.
She's on the climate change committee.
Okay.
And other landlords, I mean, there's a little mail area at the senior condo development. We could put at least a flyer up there, a poster.
Oh, in East Hadley, East Common Drive.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, that one.
Actually, what we do with the senior center newsletters for Vesta is we have somebody in each of the two senior units simply take 40 newsletters each and take them around to the doors. They have little containers to put things in, so that might be a possibility. You can
Okay.
get somebody to sign up at the event to do that.
Okay.
And Kathy would be a good person to ask. Yeah, that's a very decent list of places to,
Yes.
Yeah. And that would almost check off that door-to-door canvassing, which includes door hangers earlier. K to 12.
Okay, we still have a whole list here. Okay, we said this is just a check off. K through 12 students,
yes.
okay, and it also says teachers, students, camps. I'm thinking Hartsbrook. Is Hartsbrook in Hadley?
Yes.
Yes.
Hartsbrook might be an interesting one to reach out to too. Okay. This says municipal staff, and this goes back to the posting in municipal buildings. that I think we talked about doing. This one says state federal land managers. Maybe we could, is there anything, I don't know if
Fish and
Kestrel land.
Wildlife is
Fish
in
and-
Hadley.
But
And
what
they
do we do?
also,
We would leave information with them or see if they would do, maybe they have some information on.
we should have
mosquito.
a conversation with them. They might be really good allies for us.
And
The
the,
other place would be the Conte Wildlife
yeah.
Well,
Preserve,
that's operated by Fish and Wildlife.
right, but they may have
It's
places.
operated by USGS. Actually.
Information.
I mean, the reserve is Fish and Wildlife Service. Yeah, I mean, I could do either of those. I'm a DOI employee, so I could reach out to people at Conti or the regional office and at the Fish and Wildlife Service office.
Do you know
Um,
Jen Lapis, Tony? Fish and Wildlife? She's the education person, I think.
I don't
Anyway,
think
you may have some
so.
contacts. Okay.
So we're asking them for.
No, we're just
inform-
talking about we're just kind of putting together a laundry list of potential audiences.
Yeah, could
Right,
we
but I mean,
do
for
a
this, we're not
program-
gonna educate Fish and Wildlife Service, right?
No, no,
So-
no, no, this is,
No.
no.
but we might ask them to post some of our materials along with their like tick bite prevention stuff or whatever.
And what,
Yep.
can we do the same with Mass DCR, which operates the Skinner State Park, which is in Hadley, as well as the Mount Holyoke Range State Park, which is in Hadley and Amherst?
And for non-state entity, there's the Salamander Trail, and the Kestrel Trails.
Yeah.
The
Kestrel.
trustees and the Kestrel Trails.
Okay, and I'm gonna environmental orgs, I'm gonna put Kestrel, trustees of reservations,
No, I'm thinking trustees might put a poster up and they have it on Mount Warner, they have like a bulletin board. They might put up one of our posters anyway. Okay.
trustees, and of course, Friends of Mount Warner, Friends of Lake Warner,
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
and Friends of the Mount Holyoke Range.
I wonder if there's any place to put anything down by the river at the marina.
I kind of doubt it, but I could ask them when the
There's-
time comes.
There are two marinas too.
Yeah, there's Mitch's,
Sportsman.
and Sportsman's. I was talking about Mitch's.
I'm talking about Sportsman because Gary, who runs Sportsman, is on the Conservation Commission.
That sounds promising.
Okay, moving right along. I've got
Oh,
lots of
do-
ideas. Transportation industry. Does PVTA have anything on their buses? Do they have any place to post things actually on the buses?
If you pay,
Ah,
Well, they might be willing to do an inside placard as a PSA, but it's probably more hassle than it's worth. From what I understand, they're very bureaucratic, and also there are probably not a lot of Hadley riders on the bus. They're
Ah.
probably mostly passing through Hadley between Northampton and Amherst.
do they allow to put anything up in the bus, what do you call them? Not the stops, the little,
kiosks,
yeah,
I don't think so.
I don't think
know in
so either.
Northampton, they were always removing them.
okay.
but,
Okay, moving
That
right
doesn't-
along. Recreational venues, fairgrounds, sports complexes, ball fields.
Should we consider asking the Young Men's Club?
Sure.
Sure.
Hey, my next door neighbor, Ed Kushi, is a very, should I say, frequent user of that. I'll ask him. He's a good guy.
Okay, you need to read the category a little slower. It went way too fast for me to type it.
Okay, recreational venues.
Okay, and so.
Are
and-
there any farm camps in town? In the summertime?
I mean, there's two just over the Hartsbrook. I think of Hartsbrook has one. Hampshire has one.
Oh, Hampshire has one?
Hartsbrook has one, I think. Yeah.
so I know there are summer camps because Board of Health has to certify them every year. And there are many more than I ever thought there would be. So they would have a list that you could get.
Right, multi-arts, I think, is in Hadley.
Yes,
So
Um,
public health would have that list, Jane?
Board of Health, yes.
Board of Health.
and is there a 4-H club in town?
Yep.
That's still run by Tommy Waskevitz?
That I don't know.
Jane, what's the best way for, like, if I know you have meetings with Board of Health. I don't know how to communicate with the Board of Health. They have a phone number, it's an answering machine, and then the town website doesn't give any email addresses. So if we want to reach out, if I wanted to reach out to the Board of Health, how would I do that?
So they now have an office person, which is nice, not full-time, but more than they used to have. His name is Peter Lohr. And he's quite reasonable.
Is
And
it the,
so he picks up messages quite often.
okay, we can find out about list of, okay, Board of Health, good. I will follow up with him and find out a list of camps. Okay,
Yeah, you can suggest that I said to call him.
okay. Okay, and then
What
there's
is
sort
his
of
last
another,
name? Lore?
Lore, correct.
So we're on a roll, which is great. But again, in the spirit of like not overdoing things, I don't want all of us to like come up with a list of 500 places of materials. And we have nobody who's gonna actually like wanna disperse materials, or we don't actually have that many materials. So like this is a great big list, but I don't know that we need to know every summer camp in town when we've got like 200 places right now. You know, I think maybe thinking about, I don't know. I mean, maybe if we overwhelm them with locations that we're sharing this information, then we succeed. Or maybe just because we haven't had a triple E case in Hadley, we'll succeed either way. Chris seemed to indicate that like there were towns that are going to fail regardless. And again, that'll be helpful in kind of looking at other people's applications to see how deep they go. But the other thing that is ringing with me a little bit, Bobby, is that I remember when you showed us the thing, you said, I just want to say that on here, it suggests some, I can't remember if it was like using DEET or whatever it was, but if we're about to say like, spread these materials to 800 different locations, you know, we want to make sure that we're very happy with what it says, right?
well, you know, that's a good question about DEET. You know, I've kind of, if we can digress for a minute, I've thought about DEET, you know, and I've thought about if a person wants to spray it on themselves, that's up to them. It may not be philosophically what we want to do, but it's not like we're dumping chemicals on everybody from an airplane.
Right, and I mean, I use DEET, so I'm not trying to stand philosophically opposed to it, but I don't think we should say, hey, it's up to them, we're not saying something, because we're giving them a pretty thin pamphlet that doesn't say all that much. So if it says use DEET, it's probably one of 8 things it says or whatever, right? So I'm not suggesting we make our new pamphlets ourselves, but I just want to make sure that first of all, we agree with everything it says. And second, it's saying something worthwhile enough that we're going to spend 100 hours putting all this stuff out. And it wasn't like so obvious, like be careful with your back when you're shoveling.
Right. Well, I think this is another instance where if we can all get together in the same room, we can look at these materials and see which ones we want to use. It's really hard to see them online. I was going to post them and say online, but you really don't get a sense of what they are. It's a little tiny thing. If you gave me your address, I could mail them out and you could look at them. But I really think I think it's a good suggestion, Tony. I think we need to look to see what they really say. I think they're simple. They're put out Department of Public Health, and I think they're the experts in terms of public education. So
they're the experts in terms of health. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be argumentative, but as an ecologist, I don't think what public health wants me to do is necessarily what I want everyone to do, because public health cares about humans and basically nothing else. So again, I mean, you showed us them and they seemed good, but that was when I was like, sure, we're going to give out like 15 at the Time of day, you know?
Yeah.
But now we're like gonna give out 800 at every summer camp and every school and every bus stop. And, you know, it's like, okay,
Good
well,
point.
let's make sure we actually like, first of all, think it's useful enough to spend our
I
time in.
think
And
this is a
second,
preliminary list and we will probably cut it down and say, we don't really need to do X, Y, and
Right.
Z, but let's do A, B, and C.
It,
Yeah.
Wasn't there like one pamphlet about all the different things you could do to protect yourself that was much more broad than just DEET?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, there is. I can get it for you now, or
Okay.
I think it's a good point. Let me grab it and see what it says.
By the way, I mean, well, just so you know, Shel, that when I had mentioned Kestrel and trustees, or you know, even Friends of Lake Warner, we have a little spit of land, but it's hard for us to. We don't have a kiosk over on the peninsula. Other
but
landowners,
mailing list.
managers would come under that.
Yeah, you do have a mailing list.
Yeah.
And email bulletins and whatnot. So I think the ask with those types of groups is, can you put something about this in your next e-blast?
Right. And that's good for, you know, Kestrel would probably be behind that. And
Okay, so here's, I don't know if you, it's probably gonna be backwards. If I can just do a quick show and tell, I don't know if it's meaningful. This is a handy dandy little,
Higher up, we don't see it.
okay,
There you go.
it's backwards. Can you read backwards?
Yeah, no, it's
yes,
fine.
oh no, it's coming out readable for us.
Oh, it is, okay.
Yes.
So it's protect yourself from mosquitoes and it's a little accordion thing. Let's see if I can. Well, it says use,
Back it off. There you go. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't
now
know if all EPA approved is good. But then it
Okay.
talks about wearing clothing.
fixing your screens, getting rid of standing water. Okay, good, cool.
What's this one?
Hold it still. Dusk
Dusk
to
to
dawn,
dawn.
fighting time for mosquitoes.
Let's see,
Know your risk, stay informed for more info.
okay. And on the back, it's ticks. It's something, it's also ticks.
Okay, great.
So that's one little handy dandy thing. This one's a little bit bigger. It's a little bit more in depth. Preventing mosquito bites. You can't read it all. Let me read the headings. What's the best way to prevent bites? Be aware around you. Be aware of peak mosquito hours. Use netting on baby carriages or playpens when your baby's
Well-
outdoors.
Bobby, can I back up a second and just ask, if our mission is to get the state not to spray us, is this distribution of fairly common knowledge stuff really advancing that agenda?
It is, because if people don't get bit by mosquitoes, then we don't have then you're preventing mosquitoes. A lot of it's standing water. It's a prevention effort. And it's required in our application to do an extensive outreach and education program, Shell.
Yeah, but is the
This is-
outreach and education going to be about mosquito bite prevention, mosquito disease treatment, or just the idea that there are alternatives to spraying from airplanes?
I don't think it'll be about treatment, because that's out of the purview of the application. I think it's common sense for you and me. It's not common sense for everybody. Because I think we're taught in this country to reach for the chemicals first.
I mean, it's a good question, Shell. I mean, our end goal is to get an application approved. In order to get an application approved, we have to have an alternative to spraying. And the alternative to spraying, at least in my mind, is to prevent hatching of mosquitoes. It's to prevent people from, it's an alternative to spray. If you don't get bit, you don't need to get sprayed by aerial spraying. Does that make sense to people or
Okay.
not? It's prevention. It's part of integrated mosquito management, getting rid of sources, not having outdoor events at dusk. I mean, it does seem very basic, but I don't think, I agree with Michelle. I don't think a lot of people think of these things. But I mean, what else, what are you suggesting, Shell? I mean, those are good questions. What's your answer to that?
I think you've addressed it.
Anyone else comment? I mean, I don't want to push something on people if this isn't making sense.
I guess just one last thought on this, and maybe it's because we started talking about summer camps and schools and stuff, but I think I get a little nervous. I'm more comfortable talking about reducing mosquito sources. I'm a little less comfortable about essentially saying keep your kid inside, which I know is not what those pamphlets say, but they kind of are like, don't go out at dawn and dusk and wear long sleeves, even though it's 90 degrees in the summer, you know, and like put feet on or whatever. And so I just like, yeah, it's fine. I mean, there's not a better choice. And I realize that, but I also like I mean, our kids aren't going outside enough. It's a whole nother topic, but like, I don't want all this messaging to be like, be afraid of nature and being outside.
Mhm.
And so that's where I just want to figure out, you know, where our messaging, if we're not going to develop the messaging, maybe I'll focus that piece on sort of where we're putting those messages, and maybe I'm less comfortable sending it to the summer camps. But anyway, it can be a conversation for next time.
I think we're going to all have to figure out which of these many places we listed actually makes sense and with what kind of messaging.
Yeah.
Good point.
Can I make one other suggestion just on the audience types? We have a lot of seasonal workers in town on the farms in particular. And I also don't know if these materials are available in other languages, but that might be something to look into.
Spanish, we have Spanish. Everything's in, I can get everything.
Okay, thank you. Great.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think the seasonal workers is a huge, we have to remember at town meeting and at select board meeting, farmers were not, a lot of the farmers in Hadley didn't want to opt out. They said their workers are outside and they don't want to get bit. So I don't know how we deal with that population. I think it's a really good concern. But I don't know that are farmers going to relate to this? Probably not. Their workers work, they're going to say from dawn to dusk, but it's dusk to dawn with supposedly a mosquito issue. I'm rambling, I'm sorry.
I want to point out that we've been going an hour and 35 minutes. How long are we supposed to go?
Well, we have up to one, we're on the last thing. Okay, the last comment. I know we've done a lot. We can let this simmer. The last question is, list a minimum of 3 education outreach that you plan to execute for the upcoming mosquito season. And we can answer that when we define from above which ones are realistic that we can do.
We have 2 of them already, Climate Day and Town Meeting. And the Town Meeting is an easy annual thing to repeat.
Yeah, I like where you're at, Michelle. So they're saying do 3, at least 3. So we do 4 or 5, and we can already do 2 easy ones.
Yeah.
And we could probably do another easy one by, you know, the like quote unquote canvassing of like handing some out to people that will give them to other people. So, and then maybe we talk to some media person that's easily accessible to us or something. I just think, I think this has been awesome brainstorm, and then we can go back and say like, what are the things that feel like they're going to be most effective and least time intensive for us?
Yeah. Another easy one.
I think,
Yes.
Go ahead, Michelle, go
Would
ahead.
be the beer gardens if they happen this year.
Oh, yeah.
Ah, excellent.
And
They're doing Asparagus Festival.
festival. Yeah.
They're doing
Excellent.
it.
Great.
So a table there costs $75 for a nonprofit.
Mm,
Maybe they will allow,
At what, the Asparagus Festival or the Beer
Yes.
Garden?
yeah, at the Asparagus Festival.
okay.
Because I'm in charge of getting a table or talking them down a little bit. Because it's expensive.
That's again, perhaps something that we could share a table with Friends of Lake Warner, and therefore it's $37.50.
Okay, well, I will propose that.
I'll chip in $10 for that.
Yeah, I would chip something in for that.
I would too. And actually, we may have another activity. Jane's going to talk about putting some posters in schools. So we can maybe check that one off too. Or we're putting posters in town buildings.
Okay, and let's see who, I was not looking, so I didn't see who said they would throw in money besides me. So
who
put
was
your
doing
hands
what?
up if you're willing to chip in $10 to make that
Who
table.
is willing to
Tony-
chip in $10?
Tony Lynn
that-
said that.
Tony said that, Michelle
Tony,
said that,
Michelle,
Bobby
Jane
said
says
that.
Jane, okay, everybody, okay.
Okay. So we gotta name names since it's Zoom.
Yeah. So give me a minute to type that in.
Now, I will propose this to Friends of Lake Warner, and it solves the problem, and I don't have to go begging to Kestrel, so that would be good.
Okay. And by the way, I have a tent, Michelle. That's an outdoor activity. I have a tent.
Yeah, we do have one too, but I'll see what shape it's in. We can use yours if it's not a good shape.
Okay, that's all I have on the application. Let's see where we are. We made a lot of good progress tonight. Thank you. Updating the strategic plan. That can probably, I think we're going to continue to, by the next meeting, I think we need to get some applications from towns. We really need to push an effort on that. Joe Comerford, we've done that.
And I'm
Geez,
gonna add one more event in that list of events, which was
Okay.
the Hadley Learns World Fair that happened last summer and was proposed as an annual thing because it was very successful.
what's it called? Hadley Learns World's Fair?
World Fair. It's something Humira put together. It was a huge potluck at the senior center. I think several of you were there.
Okay.
It was a really fun night.
Well, heck, we might just do all these. We've got a list of realistic things. Okay, anything else on the strategic plan? We don't have any dates of when, we do have some dates to start doing, so we maybe want to add a list of some outreach. I'll draft up something for outreach. I propose that we add an outreach thing under strategy and tactics, and we can put in some of the things we plan to do. We have some dates for those: town meeting, climate day. Anything else on the strategic plan? I know I'm rushing through this. I can see it's time to, okay, last item of business. Next meeting, we had said we were going to do it on April 4th.
At 4 p.m.
As a preliminary, because we were going to meet with the select board on the 6th. Do you want to meet on that date still, or do you want to change that date? Are we going to have anything else new to share by April 4th?
Well, we might need a strategic window of a couple of weeks to think about what we're going to present to the select board and who's going to present it. And so I would say that that's probably a good date.
Okay. I believe we had just said April 4th between 1 and 4. I think
Yeah.
think we scheduled it for 1. Is that not a good time?
Let me check.
It was good for me, Tony. I believe that worked for you,
Look
but,
at my calendar right now, sorry.
She's driving to Maine.
oh, okay.
I have inside information on this.
What'd you say, Shell? It is or is not a good time?
I am open that day right now.
Okay,
I don't know if there are any Martin Luther King events we don't want to
Martin
conflict
Luther-
with. That is the anniversary of his death,
Oh, it's death, yeah.
but usually
they-
they celebrate his birth and not his death, so it's
Yeah.
probably a non-issue.
Jane, could you make April 4th? Do you know?
What time?
Sometime between 1 and 4.
Yes,
Okay,
Can we
Um,
pick a specific time?
Tony, can you let me know tomorrow? I'm going to be out of town next week and I'm going to have to get it posted to the town before then.
Is there a reason we can't agree on a time now?
Sorry, I'm having trouble with my sound, but what day and time did you suggest?
April
April
4th, and we're picking a time now, I think.
Between 1 and 4,
And what day?
April 4th.
It's a Monday.
Okay, I'll let you know tomorrow.
Okay,
Yeah, okay, so I'll make a note sometime between 1 and 4, okay.
okay. Okay. All right, any other business?
Move to adjourn?
I'll move to adjourn. So somebody second?
I'll second it.
Michelle second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay,
Who seconded, Michelle?
Michelle did. Excellent work, everybody. Thank you for your patience tonight. Well done.
Okay.